So we get a glimpse of Suji at the end of this episode. Only for about 3 to 4 seconds. That's enough to get me really fucking hyped for next week. Like, my hype just went through the roof. Like, Suji, when he gets into the battle of this race, that's when shit hits the fan. Because there was some obvious foreshadowing at the end of this episode. Besides Suji, Imaizumi states, if nothing changes this situation and everything stays the same, I will win. That's what Imaizumi says in this episode, right at the end. And at the first look, looking at this episode, Imaizumi is winning. Like, he's straight up fucking winning. Like, there's no reason he should lose. But that was obvious foreshadowing for Suji. Suji is coming. And he has yet to play his his major role when it comes to this race. I'm going to be honest here, I really do want to see Suji win. I really do. His pure inspiration for winning, he deserves it. He really does. But I mean, I would be fine if Imaizumi wins too, but it's pretty fitting to see how Imaizumi and Suji would be versing each other. That's very fitting because we know the beef between Imaizumi and Suji, and if those two actually end up being the last two people competing against each other across the finish line, that will be pretty impressive because that foreshadowing between those two. But anyways, this episode, Imaizumi exposing everyone. Like, he is fucking destroying everybody behind him. Like, Fukutomi, he's sitting there trying to sum up what Imaizumi's doing in this episode. Like, oh, what's he doing? Like, why is he running ahead so much? Like, why is he doing this? And from this aspect, Fukutomi had to separate from his group and chase after Imaizumi because Imaizumi is going way too fast, and he most likely is going to pass the finish line since he can push himself across that distance. So, Fukutomi is pretty much getting destroyed right now because he is actually weakening himself by pushing himself that much, because we know he's already pushed himself quite a bit from the previous day and, you know, the day that they're currently doing. So, it's kind of obvious that with this act of what Imaizumi is doing to Fukutomi, Fukutomi is probably going to drop out. He most likely will. And also along with that, I'm still trying to wonder what is Onoda going to do. I mean, what is Onoda's goal going to be in this? Like, is he going to eventually catch up to where, you know, Imaizumi and maybe Suji's going to be? Or what else is going to go on? I'm just really kind of curious about that. But overall, this episode had a lot of intense freaking feels to it. Like, oh, when you see Imaizumi and when you see freaking Fukutomi chasing after, like, that overall conversation between them, where he turns around like, I am strong. I'm like, dude, that's badass, man. Like, I am strong. Fukutomi's like, oh, you're getting all fucking scared, like he's shivering in his boots and stuff. So, just seeing how Imaizumi, this character that hasn't had as much screen time as he should in these past 2 days, I'm glad he's finally having, you know, some screen time to really prove himself. I mean, Naruto had some time to prove himself, like last episode. Holy shit, that last episode. That was one of the best episodes of Yowamushi Pedal. And with this episode, once again, another great and wonderful episode, because getting to see the showcase of Imaizumi being awesome. And we also get a little bit of a backstory to Imaizumi in this episode. He actually has a little bit of his past revealed, and what's really cool about this is we find out what really inspired him to race, become a road racer, and I like that. That's one thing I really love about Yowamushi Pedal. It takes time to develop these side characters that makes us want to care about them, and I have to say, some of the development for these side characters, man, they're just, it's beautiful. It really is. Suji is one of them, but I mean, Imaizumi, in this backstory we find out about him, pretty much his actual motivation to race and why he wants to be in first place. Like, he wants to be in first place in races because it's quiet. And this has slightly been hinted at through the journey of Yowamushi Pedal since even Season 1, and it's kind of shocking when you discover that he wants to be in first because it's quiet, it's not noisy, he doesn't hear people bickering and bitching at each other in the middle of racing, and he likes being up front because he doesn't have to hear that. And so, I like that little aspect about Imaizumi with this episode, and when you add on top of how his character, how he was detached from other things like normal things children would have, it adds more, you know, a different complexity to Imaizumi's character. Like, he didn't like games or manga, he didn't care anything about that. He didn't give a shit about any of that type of stuff. He didn't care about anything, going out and hanging out with friends, nothing. He was just a detached kid that's just passing school, going to cram school, stuff like that. He didn't have any real motivation or happiness, and ever since he became a road racer, you could see how he's become happy and wanted to be in first and stuff like that. So, just a really good episode to showcase Imaizumi's character. Let me know in the comments below how you felt about this episode. I love y'all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.